A lot of folks, perhaps, who are coming into this podcast will assume that we connected because of the amazing business and innovation story of Roblox, but that's not actually how we connected.
No.
We connected because we have a friend in common, Dominic D'Agostino, who some listeners may recognize as effectively Mr. Ketone, master of all things exogenous ketone related, and an amazing scientist in his own right on a number of different levels. And I had also had Chris Palmer of Harvard on the show a while back related to something called metabolic psychiatry. And your name and your Baszucki group kept coming up over and over again. And that is the thread that I pulled on, which ultimately connected the two of us. And I think I had mentioned your name. I'd sort of invoked your name several times on the show, including on the random show. And that's how we got connected. So maybe as a way of just setting the table for a little bit of the metabolic health discussion, and everybody listening, we will get to Roblox and all of that, of course. But this, I think, is something that will probably strike a chord with a lot of people listening on a lot of dimensions. So as a way of setting the table, perhaps you could describe early in your son's freshman year at college, what happened?
Thanks, Tim. And I'm going to share that my son and my family are comfortable sharing this story.
Mhm.
And so I feel I have some flexibility. But you could imagine, as a parent of a high school student who had just started at UC Berkeley, all of the hopes and dreams of a parent, of a student going off to school, a student that's been very successful in math and science and academics and athletics, and how much hope a parent has for that student going off to school. And like any other student, my son Matthew, at his freshman year at Berkeley, it brought back memories of when I had started school. He hit it pretty hard. He was in computer science, he was rushing a fraternity, and there was a lot of demands I could see from afar. It just seemed on him. The studies, the creativity, what a rush would be at a college like Berkeley, and all of that. And that was a time when he entered what I would call his first manic episode. We got some cryptic texts from him that were very alarming. We got some texts from some of his friends in his fraternity and dorm. I went to get him, and he had entered what you would call a manic episode. And for us, a manic episode is something that no parent has ever seen before, and it is really something very surprising and weird and different. And he had entered this, and what he had started on was really an 8 or a 9 year journey with us over 8 or 9 years that involved some of the wildest stuff you could ever imagine. It involved him going to the hospital several times. It involved us not quite knowing how to really care for him. It involved trying to navigate the medical system. It involved going to Stanford and having him being locked up, on the psych ward, and really started this journey that, if we round it out, was only solved through ultimately getting him on a ketogenic diet. Coincidentally, we ran into another CEO founder who said they got progress on their bipolar with a metabolic diet and a ketogenic diet. And that seemed like the craziest thing I had ever heard about. Like, how is it possible after 8 years and hospitalizations and very difficult times and complete disruption? And I would say possibly concerned, would our son ever go back to school? Would he ever work? Would he, ever integrate? We worked with Dr. Palmer and others, and he tried a ketogenic diet. And literally within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we saw progress that we had never seen with any drug or medication. Mind blown, really, and a miracle. And that was really the catalyst of starting our whole adventure down the ketogenic route.
And if we flash forward then a bit to December of 2017, why was December so significant?
We were now into a bit of a situation where our son had run away, had flushed all his meds, literally streaming on social media, streaming as he had run away, had subsequently caught a bus, had made his way down to San Diego, had lived in, I think, a lifeguard shack in San Diego. We had some monitoring of him. I knew he was full-blown manic at that time. And I tried my first try to come down and pluck him off the street with the help of some police and get him into a hospital. And given the laws of our situation, I got to San Diego near some of our relatives, called in the cops, but he was pretty convincing. He said, "Hey, I'm free. I don't want to go to the hospital." I knew he was completely out of his mind, and he ran away. And the police wouldn't grab him. He just went running away from his dad. And so that was pretty scary. Following that, we got a report that he had then hitchhiked to Los Angeles from San Diego. He had a phone and a laptop, and that was it. And the communication started getting more sparse with him. In retrospect, it's really scary because I think in retrospect, what I know now, I would have flown down there and hired 200 people, rented a hotel room, and started searching all of Los Angeles. Like, just go to every Starbucks in Los Angeles. Let's find this guy. In the moment, though, I would say for 1 or 2 days, we didn't quite figure out what to do, except we have a son who's gone AWOL in Los Angeles. This was a terrifying thing, a powerless kind of thing. Here we were, family with all of the resources in the world. And then by some miracle, he texted me from a Starbucks, once again, full-blown manic episode. And I was just able to work with him and to say, "Hey, man, it'd be fun to buy us a latte together. You want to just chill out there for a couple hours? I'll come down. We'll buy a latte. It'll be fun." And he said, surprisingly, he said, "Sure, I'll just chill out here." I'm like, oh shit, he's going to chill out there. So flight, rental car, like SWAT team stuff. I'm on the airplane. I'm sitting next to someone and they say, "Hey, why are you going to LA?" I said, "Oh, my son is AWOL with bipolar. I think I have like an hour to get to him and to pick him up." And so I pop into the rental car, just drive flying over there. I get to this Starbucks, and there is my son, just a street person of your son. Nothing except a plastic Safeway bag with his laptop and a cell phone and a charger that he's like sleeping in a Starbucks with. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so now I'm thinking, okay, I can't call the cops because I've been through this before. I cannot lose this guy. So my son and I got into this. I'm saying, "Hey, we should go see your relatives in San Diego. That would be fun." So he's like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go see the relatives." He's like, "You don't mind if I get some smokes, man, do you?" I said, "No, man, we need some smokes. Let's get some smokes." So we buy like cigs, we buy Diet Cokes, we get in the rental car. He's just smoking, completely manic. And we're going to see a relative. And so now I'm driving to San Diego, texting like 30 people at the same time, texting my wife, texting his uncle, who's a psychiatrist in Carlsbad. And during this 60-minute drive, I've got his uncle lined up as a hot stop. So, yo, we should go see Uncle Alex. What do you? Oh, that's a great idea. Let's go see Uncle Alex. So I'm able to get Uncle Alex warmed up. And so we come in hot to Uncle Alex, who's a psychiatrist. And yeah, let's just grab a dinner with Uncle Alex. Good. So we're rolling. So then we're hanging out, and then we got to figure out, how do we get my son into a hospital without the cops coming and having him run away? Because if he runs away, what are we going to do? So he had had a lot of adventures on the street, and his hands were really beat up. I don't know if he was punching a concrete wall or what he was doing, but his hands were really beat up. So Uncle Alex, who's pretty savvy, says, Matt, man, we should go out, get a good steak dinner. What do you think? And Matt, thank goodness, said, oh yeah, I'm really hungry. Let's get a big steak dinner. And then I look at his hands. I say, hey, Matt, man, your hands are pretty beat up. We should just stop and get those checked out on the way to the steak dinner. What do you, just, we'll pull into the hospital, check out your hands. And Matt's like, cool, let's go do it. So, oh my gosh, we're texting. We got the hospital lined up, and we pull in and just go into the hospital. They know we're coming, go into this waiting room. But now we've got like 30 minutes to keep Matt together in this waiting room so he doesn't run away. So let's go have a smoke outside. Let's do all of this stuff. We then finally, after what seems like a lifetime, the doctor comes in. Yeah, we're ready. The doctor's pre-flighted, just like, oh yeah, let me see your hands. And this doctor, I forget their name, but she was a genius. She's just like, Matt, you might maybe, it just seems like maybe you want to take a rest for a day or two. Just get off the street. And wow, that was huge.
And he was open to it.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah.
And he could have ran out of there. I think that started the journey of some, what is called insight, some level of insight where a bipolar person has a small inkling that things are not quite right and they want to participate in treatment. And this thing called insight is this very valuable thing that when someone does not have a sliver of it, they will run, they will sleep outside, they will not participate in the journey. That's what led to ultimately, many drugs, many interventions, and finally us finding ketogenic therapy.